Hey everyone, today I've got a super fun story for you. It's about an elementary school kid who invented a perpetual motion machine. Sounds crazy, right? This kid's so smart that even his teacher got jealous and kept giving him failing grades. One day, a young boy couldn't hold it in anymore and asked, "Where did I go wrong on my test? Why did you give me such a bad grade?" The teacher pointed at his paper and said, "I asked how lakes are formed, and you wrote something about goose migration. That's not scientific. Of course, I gave you a bad grade." But the boy didn't back down. He pulled out an issue of the Discovery magazine. The teacher froze. This wasn't some random magazine. It was basically the American National Geographic. Turned out, the kid had already published a paper that caused a huge stir in the academic world. The teacher, embarrassed by how little he knew compared to the boy, shouted, "I don't care about your stupid magazine." Then, trying to save face, he mocked the boy's mismatched socks, making the whole class burst out laughing. So how did this little genius end up inventing a perpetual motion machine? Let's start from the beginning. The boy's name was T.S. Spivet. He was only in 6th grade, but had an IQ over 180. He was a real prodigy. He often snuck into college lectures and even built a magnetic perpetual motion machine. You can already see that the genius kid setup isn't just all talk. The director uses his actions, like sneaking into college and creating inventions, to show his brilliance. It's a storytelling trick you often see in movies about gifted kids, like Wonder. In any other family, T.S. would have been their golden boy, but not in this one. His dad was an old-school cowboy who couldn't care less about T.S.'s blueprints. His mom was an entomologist, buried in her research 24/7. His sister was obsessed with beauty pageants. And his fraternal twin brother, Leighton, well, he was the total opposite of T.S. He was athletic, cheerful, and a perfect little cowboy. He could tie a can to a cat's tail, take aim from over 600 feet away. The black cat was so scared it ran off in a panic. Dad gave all his love to his brother, thinking he was the one to carry on his legacy one day. While Leighton was shooting, T.S. tried to record the sound waves of the gunfire, but then an accident happened. The gun went off and Leighton was killed. T.S. blamed himself and locked himself in the bathroom for an entire day. From that day on, no one in the family ever mentioned Leighton again. Nobody said it was T.S.'s fault, but he could feel them grow apart. His mom threw herself even deeper into her work to escape the pain, and his dad, who'd never liked him much to begin with, became even colder. This change in the family, the silence, the awkward avoidance, the emotional distance, really shows how trauma can mess with people at home. It also sets up why T.S. eventually decides to run away, making the story feel real and emotionally grounded. Trying to reconnect, T.S. designed a new irrigation system for the ranch. He even built a model. His dad glanced at it and muttered, "You make it sound like it's no big deal, like everything just falls into place when you open your eyes." He said that, then sank back into the couch, using alcohol to numb himself. Later, wanting to make his dad happy, T.S. followed his younger brother's example and went hunting with him. On the way, they came across an injured goat. He tried to help the goat get free, but when he turned around, he saw a venomous snake. He thought, "Maybe it's better if I just die, then I can be with my brother again." He closed his eyes and waited, but then his dad shot the snake. His dad didn't even say a word and just patted his back. But T.S., filled with guilt and self-doubt, thought his dad was blaming him for freezing up. It totally makes sense psychologically. T.S. is traumatized and weighed down by guilt, so he takes even the most neutral reactions as people blaming him. It's a really believable look at how a grieving kid might think. Just when T.S. was feeling down, he suddenly got a call from the president of the Smithsonian. "Congratulations, Mr. Spivet, you've won the Baird Award for your perpetual motion machine." He ran to tell his dad, but then stopped, realizing it was pointless. So he pretended to be the son of the award winner, saying, "My father's deaf and mute. I'll translate for you in sign language." The caller bought it and invited Mr. Spivet to the award ceremony in Washington, D.C. T.S. thought, "Well, nobody here cares about me anyway. Might as well go." He planned his 1,000-kilometer journey carefully. 8 pairs of underwear, 3 magenta sweaters, a thermometer, barometer, raisins, dried carrots, and a stuffed toy. He left a note saying, "Please don't worry," took one of his mom's journals, and set off into the night with the suitcase half his height. When a car passed by, he thought it was his dad coming to take him home, but it just sped past. That was when T.S. realized his dad was punishing him for his brother's death by ignoring him. Here, T.S.'s misunderstanding highlights his insecurity and also shows how the lack of communication between father and son is a common issue in many families. The director uses this scene to get the audience thinking about the importance of family communication. To hop on a freight train to D.C., he climbed a signal tower and colored the yellow light red with a marker. Amazingly, the train stopped. He tossed in his suitcase, and just as he was about to climb up, a worker spotted him. TS panicked and crawled under the train, but then it started moving. He nearly got crushed, but managed to scramble out just in time, roll free, escape through a cargo ramp, hit a switch, and jumped to safety. As he crossed the open plains, the beauty of nature gave his mind a little break from all his troubles. Eventually, he reached an industrial area, but guards were inspecting every carriage. Thinking fast, TS hid inside a mobile home being transported by train. When the guard tried the door, it was locked. So he peered through the window and saw TS froze like a mannequin, not even blinking once. The guard squinted suspiciously. Weird. Since when do mannequins have runny noses? But just then the train horn blew and he had to leave. TS had survived another close call. This whole sequence feels like a classic adventure movie. It was fast-paced, full of danger, and packed with quick thinking. It keeps you on the edge of your seat while showing just how tough and resourceful the kid really is. In the next town, TS saw a hot dog stand and wanted to grab a bite, but froze when he spotted police putting up a missing child poster with his face on it. The hot dog stand woman noticed him acting weird, so he ran off. Passing a phone booth, he slowed down and couldn't help but call home. In his mind, his whole family rushed to the phone. His mom answered and said, "I'm sorry, honey, I shouldn't have buried myself in my research. I'm sorry I ignored you." His dad would then chime in, "I'm finally building that waterway you designed." Then his sister would say, "You'll design my pageant dress when you get back, okay?" TS felt warmth for the first time, but it was all a fantasy. The contrast between fantasy and reality here really shows how much TS just wants to be loved. It's a touching way to capture what's going on inside a kid's head through film. Back on the train later that night, feeling lonely and homesick, TS couldn't sleep, so he read his mom's journal. It said how she'd sometimes still call Leighton for breakfast, forgetting he was gone, how she'd noticed TS withdrawing and blaming himself once, but didn't know how to comfort him. So she just watched him quietly through the window. Reading this, tears filled TS's eyes. He finally realized his mom wasn't ignoring him out of hate. She was broken, too. After days of traveling, TS finally reached Washington, D.C. He stashed his suitcase and headed for the Smithsonian with just his backpack. But soon, a police car pulled up. A bald cop thought he was carrying spray paint and tried to arrest him. TS bolted, but ended up trapped on a drawbridge that was just about to open. "Come on, kid, stop. Don't do anything stupid," the cop shouted. "I'm not stopping," TS yelled back. Suddenly, TS leapt across the gap and grabbed a metal beam. The cop panicked. "Don't look down. Just lift your legs slowly." TS barely pulled himself up. He cracked some ribs in the process, but he wasn't about to quit. He'd come too far. This bridge scene really shows how brave and determined TS is. It also flows perfectly into the next part, where he meets the kind truck driver, so the story feels natural and believable. Then he caught a lucky break. A kind truck driver pulled over and offered him a ride. "Need a lift?" TS told him that he fell and had to reach the Smithsonian tomorrow. The driver helped him aboard, and seeing his injuries, insisted he see a doctor. He even gave TS a drink, and soon TS was knocked out. When TS woke up the next day, he was already at the Smithsonian. He thanked the driver, walked up to the front desk, and said, "I'm here to receive my award." The receptionist chuckled. "You mean your dad is here for the award, right?" "No," TS answered. "I am." The receptionist didn't believe him. Soon, the director of the institute, Mrs. Gibson, came by. "You wanted to see me, young man?" TS told her, "Yes, ma'am, I made the Perpetual motion machine." "You expect me to believe that?" She was skeptical and turned to leave until TS rattled off his theory for the design. "I modified the principle of rotational gravity around a closed loop." That shut her right up. She hugged him, eyes gleaming, not with admiration, but with greed. "This kid's a gold mine," she thought. She arranged for him to see a doctor and undergo brain scans. The results showed extraordinary neural activity. His IQ was off the charts. Miss Gibson's reaction says a lot. She's more focused on making money off TS's talent than actually caring about the science. It's a funny but pointed way to poke at how profit often comes before passion in real life. At the award ceremony, TS wore a tux and slicked his hair back. A group of wealthy elites came over, fake smiles from ear to ear. He could tell they were fascinated not by science, but by the child prodigy gimmick. When it was his turn to speak on stage, he began, "Thank you for not rejecting me because of my age." He went on, "My machine might be called Perpetual, but since magnets lose their power after 400 years, it's not truly perpetual. We still have work to do." The audience smiled at his humility. Then he added, "This year, my brother died." He explained how the accident happened, the misfired gun, the guilt, the loneliness, how he left home and traveled across the country. The hall went silent, and then everyone applauded, many with tears in their eyes. "I won't let this award go to waste," he said. "I'll keep working for the progress of science." Miss Gibson rushed to hug him, partly out of affection, but mostly thinking, what a PR jackpot. She took T.S. under her wing, but everyone was unaware that his mother had attended the ceremony too, watching in tears. From a story perspective, this speech from T.S. is a key turning point. It not only opens up more about his past, but also sets up the moment when his mom will find him later. At the same time, it really highlights the principal's opportunistic side, making her character stand out even more. Miss Gibson began booking interviews, photo shoots, and TV appearances, spinning his story into a tragic genius narrative that the public ate up. The phones wouldn't stop ringing and the money was pouring in, but T.S. hated it. His real memories of his brother weren't meant to be used for profit. He tried calling home, but the line was dead. On a talk show, a host blindsided him with, "People say you killed your brother. What do you have to say?" The whole studio froze. T.S. stammered, "It was an accident. I don't know what happened then." Surprise! His mom appeared on stage.
Hello, T.S.
Hello, Mom.
Ms. Gibson's face turned pale. Her golden goose was slipping away. The host, smelling drama, asked, "So, as a mother, how do you feel knowing one child caused another's death?" His mom said sternly, "It was an accident. My son is not to blame. Leaving 2 kids alone with a gun was our fault. We're the adults. It was just an accident." But the host kept digging, fishing for more drama. "Was your other son killed instantly? What exactly happened in the barn?" That was too much, and T.S.'s mom snapped, "You call this a science show? You haven't asked a single question about science. You're disgusting!" she yelled. "Mom, I want to go home!" T.S. whispered. His mom hugged him, and they stood to leave. But as they walked, cameras followed them. The host was hoping to film a touching family reunion. Suddenly, Ms. Gibson blocked their way, so T.S.'s mom slapped her. Then the host tried to interfere, but bam! T.S.'s dad showed up and punched him. "So, I heard you told people I was deaf and mute?" T.S. apologized, climbing onto his dad's back. Then he asked, "When I ran away that night, I saw your truck. Why didn't you stop?" His dad smiled. "I dropped something and bent down. I didn't even see you." That one small misunderstanding had caused so much pain, and now it was finally over. This family reunion scene is packed with emotion. All the misunderstandings finally come to a head and then get cleared up. The dad's simple explanation finally releases all that built-up tension and brings warmth back to the family. Months later, T.S. was back home, tinkering with his machines again. His sister was preparing for her pageant, his mom was pregnant, and his dad was back on his horse. Being a cowboy soon, T.S. had a new baby brother. T.S. modified the crib with his Perpetual motion device and used doves to entertain the baby. The family was finally whole again. The movie's called The Young and Prodigious T.S. Spivet. It's visually stunning, deeply touching, and full of themes about family, grief, and dreams. I highly recommend you check it out. And if you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like and subscribe.